do it anymore. What do you think of that? We are nearly halfway through our school year already since we start so early in the year. We are just about halfway and we're hitting a nice rhythm and routine in the mornings now. We do our morning responsibilities, brushing teeth, having breakfast, and things like that, and then we move straight into doing math, and it's been really nice to get that done first thing in the morning before we move on to other subjects. I usually try and go out to our garden in the mornings, but it's the end of the season, so there's not much to do out there, and we're able to move from math directly into our morning basket time, which consists of Bible, history, and some of our beauty subjects like poetry and artist study. This is probably my favorite time of the morning. I think I said that in my last Day in the Life video too, but it remains the same. It's my favorite part of the day, reading out loud to the kids. On this particular day, they were completely obsessed with paper airplanes, and I think it's so funny. All of the paper airplanes were flying everywhere, and we still managed to have a really good conversation. In fact, on this particular morning, our Bible time went extra long, and I really didn't have time for some of the other subjects that I usually cover in Morning Basket. But they had a blast building paper airplanes, and my oldest was coloring some of my Apple Snacks coloring pages from my monthly subscription. And every once in a while in the video here, you'll see paper airplanes flying around the room, and it's really fun. And I think it's kind of a homeschool perk to be able to remember that they get to move while I'm reading. They get to kind of play and use their hands instead of being stuck at a desk and having to sit still during this. So they might not look like they're listening, but I think they absorbed more than I think they do sometimes, or more than it looks like they do, even when they do silly stuff like this. And I don't even notice, but it's good, and it's fun to see what they create. So here's my firstborn. That was my middle child, of course, with the paper airplanes, and my firstborn is quietly coloring at the table. So, it's a good example of how different personalities learn and listen in different ways, and it's fun to watch them do this. I will always prioritize conversation over checking off a list. I plan for things. Of course, all homeschool moms do, all homeschoolers do have some sort of plan that they like to stick to, but if we're having good conversation, I will just continue on with what we're talking about as much as possible. I think in this particular lesson, we were talking about the book of Job, so obviously that has tons of things to talk about, lots of conversation starters. I just really enjoy these rich conversations that we get to have together. And yes, it did mean that we didn't get to some of the other things in our morning basket, but I think it's totally worth it. And I really enjoy these mornings we get to have together. I think we can get caught up in checking off those boxes of the things we have planned. I know I can, but it's one of those homeschool perks where we get to follow rabbit trails and just allow the conversations to happen. We eventually did move on to our next subject. Here I'm reading from our California history from Beautiful Feet books, reading about the California Native Americans, and of course the paper airplanes just kept flying, so they're enjoying themselves and listening, and I'm asking questions along the way, in between catching airplanes and having them fly past my head. So it's a good time, and it is for all of us, I think, and it's rare now these days that the boys have to be made to kind of sit still and pay attention. Every once in a while, they do get a little bit too crazy and wild, and it gets a little bit too much. The magnet tiles being dumped out on the floor, and it's loud, and they're running back and forth. And every once in a while, I do have to say, okay, it's getting too distracting. We need to calm it down. And very, very occasionally, I have to ask one of them to have a seat on the couch and just chill out for a minute and listen, just listen and not be moving. But these days, they can play pretty well and just enjoy the process, and they know my expectations now. They know that they need to keep things a little quieter as much as possible, and they need to be able to answer questions as I give them. So after Morning Basket, we move on to our morning news. This gives me a chance to rest my voice, and we love World Watch News. It's a biblically based news program for kids, and my kids absolutely love it. It keeps us all informed, really. I try not to get sucked in too much on social media because you never know if you can really trust the source sometimes, I feel like, but World Watch gives us a nice overview of what's happening in the world mixed in with good biblical truth, and some fun stories are mixed in there too. They always have little caution signs when something is coming up in the news that might not be appropriate for the littlest watchers. But we really enjoy this time. The kids grab a snack, and I cleaned up the multitude of paper airplanes everywhere and the coloring projects that were going on while I was reading, and we just prepared to move on to the next part of the day. You'll notice that I am not dressed yet at this point, and that's just something I've come to terms with. I don't usually get ready until later in the day. The kids are dressed, but I'm not, and I feel like that's fine. It's a seasonal thing. And of course, during the day, I'm always writing down what we get accomplished. I like to reverse plan. I use my planner. This is available in my shop. And I write down what we get accomplished throughout the day. I don't write down lesson plans ahead of time. I just have a loose idea what I want our routine to look like. And then I write down what we get done. I did do an entire video on how I plan out our school year and keep things organized throughout the school year. My planner is a big part of it. And then I have a whole file system. We do follow a Sabbath schedule, which is basically we do 6 weeks of school and then we take a week-long break. Now, I shared this recently on Instagram and people had lots of questions about, well, what if something happens and your week break doesn't line up with this big life change? Or what do you do during holidays? Do you take just 1 week off during December or Thanksgiving? And I would have to say that this is not a requirement. Having this schedule is very flexible. I can move that week if I want to because I made the schedule. So I wouldn't say that this is something we have to stick to. It's what I aim for. So if something does happen and I need to move that week, I can. During December, we take probably 3 to 4 weeks off, and then we have a shorter summer break. Here in Southern California, things get really hot in the summer, so we come inside and do school a little earlier than most. So this schedule is very flexible, just like the rest of homeschool. It's a homeschool perk to be able to move things around and roll with what works best for your family. So my oldest is continuing to move on with her checklist for the day. She went on to her structure and style IEW work, and she's doing her writing while the boys and I move on to reading. And the nice thing is my husband is home during the day, and every once in a while he's able to listen to the boys read when he's on his lunch break or something. So I'm reading with our youngest, and my husband is listening to my middle guy read. And then after they're done with reading, we can move on to lunch, and that's pretty much it for the boys. My oldest still has a little bit of work to do after lunch, but the boys are almost always done by lunchtime. These editable checklists are in my shop, like I said, and my oldest has gotten really used to just checking things off throughout the day. And she moved right on to piano after she was done with her IEW. She's using Hoffman Academy for piano lessons and really loves it. So now this is the point in the day where I finally get to get ready. I don't mind being in my pajamas all day. I know that would bother some people, but I really don't mind it at all right now in this season of life. So after lunch, I'm washing my face and getting makeup ready. I usually don't wear much makeup during the day. Most of the time I would stop after getting dressed and running a brush through my hair. But today I'm recording a podcast with some friends. We started a podcast together. There are 7 of us, so it's more like a roundtable podcast. I'm not part of every episode. Each of us kind of rotates through. But we also record it for YouTube, so I had to put myself together a little bit here and get ready for the day after lunchtime. So all ready and on to recording the podcast. It's called the Honest Homeschool Podcast, and we have had so much fun recording the first few episodes. My little studio setup here is fun to do every once in a while and log in and get myself ready to record. These are some of my favorite ladies, and I've really enjoyed building relationships with them and talking about these things together. You can follow us on YouTube and on Instagram, the Honest Homeschool Podcast. And while I was doing that, this is what the kids were doing, and I absolutely love that they get to do this together just whenever they feel like it. Giant forts in the backyard with paper airplanes strewn about, and this is one of the big perks of homeschool, I think, is their ability to spend these days together and just play and create. So this was really fun to watch and come out to after the podcast. Thanks for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please consider subscribing, hit the like button, and we will see you next time.